Rebellions are built on hope.
And welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Alberto Calderon. Thank you for joining us on this, another great Star Wars Saturday. And man, wait, I gotta lower my music. Just gotta get used to this new intro. I still don't know how to do it, but it's fine. Yeah, I gotta get a little rock and roll here. Yeah, I need a producer or something to help out. All right, so where was I? Yay, Star Wars. It's Saturday.
Yay, Star Wars.
Yay, Star Wars. We'll keep it. I love everyone's repping today. I got my sheep shirt. Oti has his Marky on Row, and of course,
brown eyes.
Little brown eyes is here with Arezou. Arezou, I should say thank you for being here. Arezou, our special guest, along with Oti. But Arezou, we'll start with how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah.
Yeah, very excited to talk about this episode of Boba Fett. Let me say that book of Boba Fett, not about Boba Fett, because as we'll talk, it's been missing in action for a couple of weeks. But it's one of those episodes that if you see this on paper, you think everyone's going to love. It's the greatest Star Wars TV episode ever. And then you see there's still a lot of questions and things to kind of discuss. It's very split on a lot of different topics. It's just not one thing, I think. But we'll get into it. Oti, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a very rainy day. It's been raining for like 24 hours. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I was... my mom was talking to my mother-in-law, who's in Puerto Rico, and she was telling her, hey, can you hear the rain? It's been going on and off all day. So
it's been crazy.
Yeah. And I just to continue with that weather talk, because every week I say how cold it's here in Florida. These past 2 days, it was 80. So I can't complain. It's down to 50 again today. But yesterday, Lord. Sunny, 81 degrees. I'm like, now I'm back in my comfort zone. So, and then again, our friend from up north.
And so bitterly cold. I don't even know what it would be in Fahrenheit, but we're talking like minus 20 Celsius with the wind.
That's nice.
Yeah. Nice and brisk.
No, give me my 80s. Again, Celsius, Fahrenheit, still like 20 degrees, probably like 30 degrees.
Colder, I think 32 degrees is 0 Celsius. And we were at minus 20 Celsius, which I think is like close to 0 Fahrenheit.
I lived in Spain and I still can't remember the conversion thing.
It's the only place. I don't know why we do things different here, but anyway, so
freedom.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about today. Book of Boba Fett, some kind of last minute news, not confirmed, but we'll get into those. More TV show news. Very excited about those. But first, I was thinking about this. I guess I should mention it. If you follow us here on the show, follow us on Twitter. If you're part of Twitter fandom, Star Wars Twitter out there, a lot of you guys might have kind of heard this past few weeks or this past few days, I should say. I don't even know how to address it. Some drama or because it's personal. Someone getting harassed on Twitter of a female fan by another podcaster or whatever in the Star Wars kind of Twitter fandom. And it's unfortunately something that keeps happening. And we keep saying Star Wars is for everyone. And this is a safe space, and we don't care about the negativity, but then sometimes we fail on that when it comes to real life. And it doesn't matter how much I say it, because I come from a position of privilege, straight, white, Hispanic man compared to women in the fandom. Marginalized people is very different, so I can't say that 100%, yeah, I understand what they're going through, no. But being in this position, it would kind of be a disservice if I don't stand up and say something for those people, even if I don't know them, which I will say it took me some time to respond to this yesterday, because even though I don't agree with what happened, I didn't really know the people involved, especially that person that was kind of receiving this not threats, but this situation.
Their personal information was being disseminated without their permission.
Which is, especially when this is part of the supposed apology. But not just talking about this situation, which is horrible and the way it just went through, but just in general, because it's something that keeps coming up every few months. It's a new guy doing something to another woman in the fandom. And it's how long are we going to keep this up and just putting a Twitter post? Yeah, don't do it. Respect each other. Yes, it's the bare minimum, but it's not just calling people out, but making sure that people that we follow, people that follow us, listen to our show, not that know that this is something that at least here on this show we will always kind of be against. Respecting someone's boundaries is so important. It's kind of the basic thing in life. Respect is the first thing that we kind of, as kids growing up, our parents tell us. But also being in Twitter and the social media, which is kind of has that split of real life. People can become maybe too familiar with someone and just say, I'm just talking through that computer. And maybe become familiar with someone, but still you got to respect those boundaries and personal information, all that stuff. And I know I'm kind of rambling, but we have to do more than just say we're against it. It's knowing that those people, yeah, you made your apology, you're still not welcome, and you don't come back in 2 weeks and yeah, everything is fine. So I don't know. It's personal stuff. So it's how much do we get into it? But at the same time, we have to be able to say no more. It can't always be the woman and the minorities, being the ones to step up and denounce this kind of stuff. And at the same time, not just the people that follow the person that does the wrong thing. It's everyone else. Yeah, it didn't affect me, but we have to be upfront and defend everyone and kind of be there for them. So just my quick 2 cents that I can't really find a good way to say it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something to unfortunately start the show with. All right. So I think let's try to talk some Star Wars. And let's do it. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars. But before we jump into the news section, Oti, who's out there today?
There's a bunch of people, actually. So
Let's say hi to them.
Norhal
is here. She's early. She was getting a little bit. She was here last week a little bit.
Yeah.
Dale. Hello there, Dale. How are you doing?
Norhal's actually happy with the brown eyes shirt.
Who isn't?
Mo's here. Norhal was also happy that you brought this up, and so was Rachel.
All right. So
yep, we have a good.
I'll leave it there for now, but we have to do more than just send a Twitter thread and say, don't do it.
I just want to say that I have no idea what you're talking about, the specific details, because you'll tell me later. But the fact that I don't have to know the details to understand what you're saying is a problem. So yeah, because it happens like once a month, maybe, and yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and it's also it's when people say a lot of times, oh, remember, we're going to see each other in person in celebration at some point. We got to mediate. It's like, exactly. If I'm going to see someone in person, I don't want to be 10 feet from this type of behavior and people that support it. I'll prefer to walk down that hallway by myself 20,000 times instead of being associated with someone that disrespected, sexually harassed another person in the fandom just because, I don't want to break that connection when I see them in person. Who the hell cares, right?
And to further that point, you're saying, we'll keep the peace. We're all going to see each other at celebration. Keep in mind that when you say that, not you, not I know, in the general sense, when you say that, keep in mind that the people who do not feel safe around this kind of behavior see you say that too. And they're going to see you at celebration as well. Or not, as the case may be, because now they know probably not to feel safe around you.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've seen this past today. I've seen a lot of people say, I don't feel safe now going because I don't know who I'm going to be standing next to. Yeah. And that's a sad state when celebration is a place where kind of everything is forgotten in terms of what's good and bad in Star Wars. But when someone doesn't feel safe to go to a Star Wars convention because of the people around them, then that's more than just, it's a Twitter problem. It's real life. And we have to find a way to kind of get those people out of here. I don't know. It's more than I can kind of think about right now. But
it's more than we can fix in an afternoon.
Yeah, but we got to try. And we'll start at least by making it known out there that we're here to support those people. And always be kind of vocal when we see this. All right. And with that said, if you're here, thank you. If it's your first time here, make sure that you subscribe, you like this video, you comment later, all that stuff that you're doing on Twitter. I mean, on YouTube. It's down there in the ticker. You can read it. All right. So now, Star Wars news. Let me get I'm not ready. Star Wars news. Where's my thingy? Star Wars news. Star Wars news. Right. So Star Wars news. And I wasn't going to have any Star Wars news this week, but a couple of things broke late. Still rumors, still nothing confirmed. But the first one, I want to start with you, Oti. Rumors that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is coming out May of this year. So in a couple of months, we might see Kenobi back. Thoughts on this, and do you think it's going to happen? We have May 4th, which is a Wednesday, and then May 25th.
As I've said every time you've brought this up, I've been waiting for this show since they announced the acquisition. I was waiting for the movie, now the show. Yeah. Obi was my favorite character, so the sooner the better. I don't need a trailer. I just want to see the show. And it makes sense because of the whole May 4th and everything, so that'd be cool. So I by the way, I love that the article of THR had that line at the end that said nothing is official until it's official. I was like, please put that everywhere.
Yeah, so right down there we see THR Kenobi, because that's where it came from. The Hollywood Reporter. It's not the High Republic.
Oh,
when I first saw it, THR, and I'm like, the High Republic, what? Yeah, Kenobi. So, Arezou, big Kenobi fan down there, excited for this to hopefully come out in, 3 months from now?
I would love that if it did. I have a different theory.
Let's hear it.
I think that it's coming out late June because we have that comic coming out in May. We have, I think, 2 books coming out that have to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi. We have Brotherhood and then Padawan coming out, which is reminding me of the Journey 2 publishing program before all the movies came out. And that came out like a month before. So those are coming out like late June, early July. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's when the show starts. Like that they're kind of using publishing to back us into the show. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. So that's what I'm thinking. But sooner rather than later, because I love my boy Obi-Wan. But that's what it started reminding me of when I'm like, so much of this is focused on Obi-Wan. Maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I had the same idea. Oh, excuse me. I had a big lunch today. When this new book, this Kenobi comic series, I should say, got announced, it comes out, I believe, in May, and it goes for about 5 issues, and it ends around that same time frame that you said, June, July, and that's what I thought. Maybe it comes at the end because that comic series kind of it's a trajectory of Kenobi's life, so it kind of makes sense to kind of be that introduction to it. Plus, a few weeks ago or last month, there was another kind of spoilery image, I think from the Star Wars Insider, that said that the Bad Batch Season 2 was coming out in spring. We haven't heard anything about that. So it seems kind of difficult because they don't do two series at the same time for both of them to come out around the spring. So I thought Bad Batch first and then Kenobi maybe in the summer. But we'll see. And maybe with the end of the Book of Boba Fett, we'll figure something out.
Isn't spring like now? Like
March 20th is the first day of spring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In Puerto Rico, it's the same climate all year. So for me, it's like.
So when people say spring, they usually mean like March, April, May.
Oh, okay.
And then.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't know the spring equinox when the days become. Come on, you gotta learn your lunar calendars and all that stuff. Yeah.
I only know all this because all the season changes are Iranian holidays. So first day of spring is the New Year. So that's how I remember it.
Yeah, I know at my work I have to do spring inspections and fall inspections, and my spring inspections start in March. So I know it's around March. So I gotta use that too. But yeah, in Puerto Rico, if it's cold, it's winter. If it's hot, it's summer, and that's it. We only have 2. Yeah. All right, but the big one, at least for me, and this kind of came out of nowhere yesterday, and it's still I haven't heard a lot about it. What's Rachel saying? There's a little foot of snow on the ground here. Oh, Rachel, I'm sorry to hear that. So another THR, but not the Hollywood Reporter. It's the High Republic news from, I think it was Cineflix, that said that there is a High Republic TV series in the works. They said Stranger Things in Star Wars is going to be about I don't know if it's about the kids in the High Republic or geared towards kids, but extremely excited for the High Republic. We've been wanting a High Republic show for a year now, and the Padawans on the High Republic are some of the best characters. So if it follows either the known characters that we know, yes. And if it's new Padawans that we're going to be introduced to in the show, yes, especially because this report also said that the Luminous writers are kind of involved in the scripts of it. That's very exciting, at least for myself. Arezou, did you see this news, and where do you fall on it?
I did. So where I fall on it is, I know it's from Jordan Mason, and I know his information is usually pretty good. So I'm taking this more seriously than I would take other rumors. I also, you saying Luminous writers are involved, things are clicking because we know Claudia is a Luminous writer. We also know Claudia's only done 2 books in this.
Yes.
I'm not saying only. I know writing a book is hard work, but where has she been? Maybe she's been working on this.
She's been teasing that she's working on something.
Yeah, she keeps saying, I'm working on something and I can't talk about it. I'm working on something, I can't talk about it.
You're killing me now, because back when Into the Dark came out, and I had our friend Andres Alvarez from the 50 Minutes here, we did our review of Into the Dark, and I said back then, I'll still say it, that to me, she's the one that gets Star Wars the most. Yeah, Dave Filoni, I will talk about Dave Filoni today. He knows the lore and the history of Star Wars. But how to make a Star Wars story, I side with Claudia Gray, and I said, oh, she should be involved in TVs or movies. And Andres said, or at least get her in a writer's room to kind of work on some of these things. And who knows now, maybe this is how it all gets to, oh man, High Republic, it's the best.
I remember ever since the Last Jedi days that everyone was debating who should take the reins of Star Wars. Everyone was saying like, Claudia should write a script. She should write a script. So if this is like real and she's involved, I'm gonna be so happy because of what you said. Like, Filoni definitely understands Star Wars, but he's a bit like in his head a lot.
Filoni understands what Filoni likes.
Yeah. And Claudia like puts it in such like a real world, understandable way that it would be perfect for her to be in a show.
So hopefully we'll get some news on this soon. We haven't heard about the High Republic show is coming in a few weeks, I think. And if you follow those writers on Twitter, they're meeting live in person for the first time in almost a year, they said, in these coming days. So they're planning something. And then with phase 2 kind of
now.
Yes. And phase 2 going back 150 years, they brought in all this new group of writers. Maybe our veterans now can focus a little bit on this show, or the new writers. There's a lot. So
I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good time to love the High Republic.
Oh my God. In 2 weeks, I think, right? Arezou is going to be here again, talking The Fallen Star, talking Claudia Gray. Oh, we'll have our feelings on our sleeves. I'm going to reread it next week. I'm scared of, because it's been so long. Plus, I have Midnight Horizon, which I read last month, which was another great book. All right. So anyway, we mentioned Filoni gets in his head, and I think that's one of the issues that we might discuss today a little bit. So let's do it, and let's talk the Book of Boba Fett with our book reports. You gotta give a grade to this episode, because this one I saw it, I was blown away. But there's a few things. But before we go into specific, Arezou, I always start with our special guest. What are your general thoughts of the series so far? And then, without going into specific, because we'll get into those, what were your main thoughts about this last episode?
General thought of the series so far is episodes 1 through 4 feel like a different show. Not to say that 5 and 6 are bad, but they just feel like a different show. And then general thought, and I was enjoying episodes 1 through 4, and as a piece of Star Wars, I'm enjoying 5 and 6, but I don't know how well they go together. And then general thoughts on episode 6 was it was a good development of the lore. But I don't know if they're going to manage to tie it back to Boba Fett in one episode.
Yeah. And I very similar in terms that I love these 2 episodes as part of Star Wars media out there. As a Star Wars story, the last 2 episodes have blown me away. As part of the Book of Boba Fett, then there's something to discuss. Oti, we kind of know a little bit where you fall on the show because you've been here for all 6 weeks or 5 weeks as we did the first 2 episodes together. But what are your thoughts on episode 6? That from the desert comes a stranger.
It's been what, 3 days? I'm still like thinking about it. Like Arezou said, like, did I love the episode? I cried, I cheered. There was a lot of moments, a lot of things that I've wanted to see for a long time. And they were there, they were great. But I was left with the question, like, was this the time? Was this the place? Mm-hmm. Going back to the school theme of it all, I feel like if I'm like a professor who received an assignment, which was like this beautiful writing, this perfect essay on everything, character development, but it was not the assignment. Like, that was not the questions that you were supposed to answer. Those were not the characters you were supposed to use. And I'm torn in that way, because did I hate the episode? No, not at all. But for the first time, I feel invested in Boba Fett, and I was left feeling like, yeah, I want to cut from Luke back to Boba Fett. Like, and so I'm torn in that way. But as a Star Wars thing, loved it, 100%.
All right, so let's get into I don't want to say controversy, but the discussion out there, I guess, because and I'll start. And it's funny because a lot of Boba Fett fans, at least myself, are like, "Hey, that's fine. The episode was great. Who cares?" But I understand that a lot of people that grew to love Boba Fett because of what he did in The Mandalorian and the first few episodes want to go back to that character development, that character. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I love everything I'm seeing, which a lot of it, and I'll get into it later, I didn't want to see. I did, whatever. I'll get to it later.
You know what I think? I think you guys are used to Boba Fett getting done dirty. So when it happened this time, you were like, okay, cool.
Yeah, we're used to it. Yeah. I've seen it enough.
You get Boba Fett standing there silently, which is what you got before.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, this is a return to form. This is fine.
Wait. He did a head nod. He went like,
just like before.
He head nodded then. He's head nodding now.
There you go. But with no helmet, so at least we got to see Temura's face.
Girl.
So just going to the discussion out there. I woke up the first time I woke up early for a Star Wars series because I knew, based on last week, I wasn't going to be able to avoid spoilers. So I said, I'll put my alarm early. I woke up at 5 in the morning, 30 minutes earlier, got everything done, sat down and watched it. I'm glad I watched it because by 6:15, everything is spoiled already almost. But I'm watching this and I'm losing my mind because my boy Cobb Vanth finally came back. There's little Grogu. We saw Grogu, which I said I'm done with little baby Yoda. I don't need to see him in Mando season 3. He came on. He was there with Luke, and I'm losing my head. Ahsoka came back, and I'm like, there's freaking Ahsoka, and she's talking to Mando, and Ahsoka with Luke. So I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And we'll get into specific, but I love every single aspect of the show, of the episode. I did think it was a little bit long, the training sequence. Some things could have been cut. But I love everything, of course, that reveal with Cad Bane at the end. So I went, did everything, woke up my kids with a big smile on my face. Twitter was fine in the morning, but then as more people started seeing the show, then people started kind of having their, not complaining, but their views of it on it. Yeah. And then it kind of comes that there's not just one thing. It's not just, Boba Fett's not there. That was the first thing, but was this the time and place to bring Luke into it? The conversation between Luke and Ahsoka, because now we know that they met before. We didn't see this, so should the first time we saw them together be that first meeting that they had? The choice that Luke gives Grogu at the end, talking about attachments. What the hell is he talking about? So there's a lot of things that people are kind of bringing to the forefront. Also, where did you have any of these kind of same views? And what, if there's one specific that you just kind of can get into it, or it kind of pulls you away, I guess?
Generally, it's Luke Skywalker. Let me be clear. I have nothing against Luke Skywalker, but Luke Skywalker pulls focus no matter where he is. Suddenly, if he's here, that's all we're talking about, and it's like perfect example. That's all. So, but that aside, I think the one beat of the story that didn't need to happen here was Luke and Ahsoka, because I love Ahsoka Tano. Like, everybody knows I love Ahsoka Tano. But her and Luke having this conversation, yes, it has to do with Grogu, but this was such a moment.
Yes.
It deserved more time than it got. Which means, like, why couldn't their meeting have been saved for her show? Because she's getting her own show. You can put Luke Skywalker there. Because, yeah, she's mentioning, yes, the Mandalorian and Grogu have a strong bond, and I told you he'd come back for him and whatever. But this is such a small beat that could have been addressed differently. Like, Luke could have had this conversation with Din or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's the one moment where I'm like, I don't know that needed to happen here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go to the chat for a minute. Rachel, yeah, she kind of agrees with what Arezou just said. Like, Luke just sucks in all the focus. Norhel feels like she went to a George Harrison concert, but the Beatles played instead. Like, I get that feeling. So okay, so I agree with you. Like, Luke and Ahsoka meeting, it's such a universe shattering thing. Like, this is like the Clone Wars, that animated spin-off show from the prequels, connecting back to A New Hope. Like, that's massive. And it's like it's not a throwaway moment. Like, I think Filoni understands the gravity of the moment, but it's just like there. And yeah, we've already met. I do have a theory, though, that we're gonna see the meeting probably in the Ahsoka show or something, because I did feel like Ahsoka was like in a different place from where she was in season 2. Because in that moment, she was like, thinking back to Anakin. No, I'm not going to train the kid because of what happened. And here she seems to be like in a happier place, maybe a more peaceful place. So I kind of think that meeting took place like somewhere in between. I don't know if you guys see it that way.
So, two things. So first, friend of the show, Jedi Geek Girl, she's been here a couple of times. She's very similar to what you guys say. Like, why is the first time that we see them together? They already met. And then I kind of responded to her, do you think this is going to happen in the Ahsoka show? We're going to see it there, but is it already going to have lost meaning because we already saw them together on the show? And she said, yeah, it's not the same because that emotional connection or that emotional shock, we already had it, but it wasn't that initial meeting. So I do understand that. But here's why it didn't bother me. Because I've been saying, I don't know if I've been saying it publicly, but at least for myself, I didn't want Ahsoka and Luke to meet. I knew it was going to happen in the Ahsoka show. I didn't need that moment that everyone wants, and I understand why, and probably when I see it, I'm going to love it. I didn't need Ahsoka telling Luke about Anakin's younger days, and Luke telling Ahsoka, yeah, well, he got redeemed at the end. For some reason, I didn't need that. So seeing them together, which is something I didn't want, blew me away. And when I saw them, there's a shot, and I'll show it later, of both of them kind of side to side. I just, like you said, Oti, it's the Clone Wars and the original trilogy there on screen, and I'm like blown away. But I understand but now everyone's talking about Luke, and look at the technology that they used to bring Luke. Oh, yeah, it's Book of Boba Fett. Don't worry, I'll do a 20-thread Twitter on why it makes sense. Okay, we don't need that. But at least, like someone that didn't want that to happen, I was extremely pleased to seeing it. So that's why a lot of times, and I said on Twitter, and I'll say it here, even though I love the show, the episode, every critique that I've seen is valid, but it doesn't take away from my enjoyment. And that's fine. We don't all need to agree. We're all going to have different views today. We're all going to have fun about it. Yeah. So yeah, anything else to add?
I actually agree with you in that I didn't want to see Luke and Ahsoka's first meeting. I knew it was inevitable that they were going to meet at some point, but it almost feels like that's too private for us to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a good way of putting it.
Business.
Yeah, man, because
I'm okay with us seeing that, okay, they've established, and her being like, so much like your father. Like, okay, so you've talked about Anakin. That's your business. That's not my business. You know what I mean? I'm okay with
there's no way that moment lives up to the hype that's been like justifiably built around it because it's a huge moment.
It'd be something just seeing like when Ahsoka shows Dean, hey, there's Grogu with Luke, and they see them in the mountain. Someone just looking from afar, and they're kind of talking. We don't know what they're talking about, and then they hug or something. You know, they had that private conversation during that moment. It's kind of for them. What's Rachel? Rachel's adding, I might have freaked out most to see R2D2. You know who didn't freak out? Din Djarin, because he said, hey, droid, is this a bench?
Din doesn't know he's in Star Wars.
He knows nothing. Gotta love the guy. What was that last one? That last comment up.
The chat's talking about how time in Star Wars work. We've talked about it before. It's weird and
it doesn't work.
Mo just said like this has like Empire Strikes Back complex. Like, is time even real?
Yeah, I was gonna ask how much time has passed since we saw Ahsoka in Mando season 2. We talked about Oti last week because you didn't think this was gonna happen. I told you it's gonna start with Mando going to see Grogu, and you know it's not gonna happen. How much time has passed that he already misses him? I don't understand.
A few weeks.
A few weeks.
It's been 3 days.
Well, because they take over Jabba's palace, and then presumably a couple days later, everybody starts coming to pay tribute.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, and then Fennec, when she's giving everybody the recap of where we're at so far with the map, she says, "For the last few weeks, it's been a few weeks."
But
I didn't pay attention because I saw Boba Fett, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Boba Fett." I didn't hear what they were saying.
How much time between the finale and the time they kill Bib Fortuna? It can't be that long. I imagine them going like, we got to deal with something, but maybe like a couple more weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe like 4 months at most.
Maybe they went on a honeymoon before.
Ooh.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Dude, I don't know. Come on, Bonek.
They went to like Naboo and hung out on the beach for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we got a Naboo starfighter. We got to go back to Naboo.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about it later. So Norhal is adding, but first Dean called him hello friend. That's correct. Yeah, that's a lot of people have been. Yeah, he hated droids. He saw R2. Hey friend. I was freaked out when I saw R2 because I just saw the little antenna coming down, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's a droid, and then it's R2. Boba and Fennec went on a honeymoon before. You know it. Mr. Rez is here. King R2. Come on, Rachel. Yeah, but we know they did. It's canon. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I brought the Bonic energy. I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. I brought it myself. If you're here, I gotta prepare myself for it. But we're all in favor of Bonic. So let's talk real quick about the technology, about seeing Luke Skywalker back compared to last time in Mando Season 2, which is a work in progress. They brought this YouTuber that does deepfake technology, went leaps and bounds in a year and a half or whatever. And now a lot of people complained, or, hey, why is his voice kind of weird? And then, yeah, in the Mando Gallery last time, Favreau said they're working now on deep faking voices and all that. And maybe that's where the voice came in. First off, thoughts of seeing Luke and how realistic he looked. And then where are we going? Not just, for movies it's great, but this is going to affect real life pretty soon, that anything can be emulated. And that's kind of scary.
It's extremely scary that they can deep fake Mark Hamill so effectively. Yeah. It's very scary on a real world level because who knows what else is getting deep faked. And it's concerning on a story level because then they don't have to move past anybody. Precisely. They can make, Luke, Han, and Leia adventures forever. And I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I like Alden Ehrenreich's take on Han Solo.
I love it.
Okay, great. It's a different energy. It's not Harrison Ford, but he's supposed to be younger. It's supposed to be different. I wish post Mando, if Luke was going to become a regular presence, that they would have just let his body double do it. Max Lloyd Jones, because he looks enough like Mark Hamill.
He got the mannerisms, because the way from the neck down, he did great.
Yeah. And I buy it. You tell me that's Luke Skywalker. I'm like, okay, that's Luke Skywalker. It's great.
Yeah. With Luke, it's weird because we know there's a reverence to Mark Hamill. We know they call him. So, if they go like, we're going to deep fake your voice, and he's like, yeah, cool. yeah, it's no problem. But what happens when that respect and reverence goes away? What happens if in like 20 years someone doesn't care about Carrie's legacy and he's like, yeah, we're gonna make a Leia show and we're gonna deepfake her and we don't care about what Billy Lord thinks or something. So yeah, it's scary. Breaking from that, I loved it. I thought he looked awesome. Yeah. And it's also scary because I was on board for recasting Luke if he was gonna be like a regular, but looking at how he looked, I'm like, this works. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He looks great, but he doesn't like he looks and he sounds accurate, but like there's a warmth to real people. Like even to Luke Skywalker, like to young Mark Hamill, there is a warmth to him that's missing because they're putting his voice through a machine. So he's not speaking to Rosario Dawson. He's not reacting in real time. So it's like, it's not there. Do you know what I mean? Like that's my argument for recasting.
It kind of had like prequel vibes of very wooden acting, just people saying lines. But
but at least they were working with what they had. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, it worked. It also worked because he was there. He was standing and talking. It wasn't any big actions. He was when he was running. If you look, that's Max Landis running there. They didn't deep fake him for running, so he's not there for a full show of Luke Skywalker or whoever. But going back, I love Alan Enrique Solo. I've said here when I think of Han Solo, that's the picture that comes to mind is him. And I was on the minority when Rise of Skywalker was coming out, or before that, and they were saying, are they going to deepfake Leia, use past whatever deleted scenes, or recast? I was okay with recasting. I understand some actors this is their kind of 100% that character, but at the same time, the character kind of has to move on just to tell the story. So I was okay with recasting Carrie, Leia, Princess Leia. But now when they decided not to do that and now not recasting Luke Skywalker, we know they're not going to do it anymore. Now, this technology is already far advanced. They're just going to move ahead. And like you said, Arezou, Han Solo is going to come back at some point and it's going to be Harrison Ford deepfake 50 years. And Harrison Ford has a very distinct way of talking and also Han Solo. So I think we're going to notice that, especially in that speech. But unfortunately, I think it's going to happen. But technology-wise, because Lucasfilm and Star Wars and George Lucas is probably over his head, they're always pushing the envelope. This is a great kind of jump in technology, but the real-world implications of it is kind of scary. And I was watching... Sorry, you want to go ahead and say something, Oti, before I kind of diverge a little?
Finish up.
I was watching this show on Apple TV, Invasion. It's about aliens and stuff. And I'm spoiling it. I'm sorry. At the end, aliens are kind of replicating someone's voice, and then some people kind of notice, there's not it's not taking any breath to say the words, it's just replicating the voice. I had seen that about 2 days before this happened, and then aliens are going to be doing this when they invade, and we're already doing it for them. It's kind of a weird thing. I started anyway. All right. So another big issue, and then we'll jump into the episode, was the lack of Boba Fett. I cannot defend it by saying everything that happened on Tatooine affects Boba Fett's current story. Mm-hmm. But we haven't seen Boba Fett or Fennec Shand really for 2 hours. And we only have one episode left when they have to kind of bring all this together in 50 minutes. Arezou, are you I know you said you're hoping, but how down were you for another episode of no Boba Fett kind of character not development, but kind of being there in his own show?
I mean, I was at least relieved that they're kind of furthering his story because Cobb Vanth and the Pikes and eventually Cad Bane, all of that. I'm like, okay, this is all feeding into Boba's story, but there is no reason that we had to follow Din to see Luke. We could have started Mando season 3 that way, and then we would know where that gap was, and then we could stick with Grogu while he's making his choice, while Din goes back to do the plot of Book of Boba Fett. But, Din saying, I know somebody, I can go get help, and he goes to Freetown by himself. Boba could have gone with him. You know what I mean? Like, they could have both been there. Boba could have presented his case, because Din is like, hey, you know me, you owe me a favor, but, like, this isn't Din's war, it's Boba's. So I'm like, even just little things like that, like keeping him involved in his own plot would have gone a long way, even if it doesn't materially change the story you're telling. And I never honestly thought I'd be sitting anywhere advocating for more Boba Fett, but here we are. Like, you know, we've got him not doing anything this episode, and we have Fennec recapping episodes 1 through 4 for us, and that's all she did. And I'm like, these are the leads of your show, and they haven't done anything in 2 hours. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating, and I like hope it all comes together next week. But I don't. I'm now managing my expectations.
Mm-hmm. That's something that I've seen a lot of people say, because again, I love watching the show. I watched it 3 times already. I love every single second of it. But a lot of people have said, why didn't Dean just take Boba with him to talk to Cobb Vanth? And I'm trying to defend it, which I don't need to, but trying to, I think that's a longer conversation. Like, why the hell did you have my armor? And I think Boba and Cobb Vanth will have a little bit of an argument.
But that would be fun.
It'll be fun, and then
I don't even think there's beef there. Like,
he misses his armor. Honestly. He said we both lost something we were fond of, and Boba's gonna say, "Mother, you've had my armor for 5 years.
It was mine. Too bad.
You gave it to some Jawas." Or anyway, but then I think, okay, you cut part of the Luke storyline or the Mando storyline, and then you can add 5 more minutes to that conversation. Yeah, it could have worked, and it does make sense to kind of, hey, dude, you're the one that has a problem. Come help me convince this guy. But Oti, what's going on with Boba Fett? Why are we seeing?
Oh, Rachel knows what's happening.
What's Rachel saying?
You have to flirt with interference.
There we go.
No, they were absolutely flirting, Rachel.
Yeah,
you guys leave. We have some talking, some planning to do.
I know someone who can help. Maybe he did. Oh, I'll go with you. No. I only have one seat on my ship. You don't fit.
Yeah. And that it's fine. I'll take mine.
Yeah, that bantha is too slow. No, Slave One, you need to refuel. But Oti, how did you fail with no Boba Fett again for a second straight episode?
Again, I'm missing him. I'm missing Tamura. That's what I dislike the most about this show. Like, it went so far like to another thing that I was constantly checking the time to be like, okay, how much time do we have left to go back to the main story? And like, yeah, I miss him. I now hope that the finale will be all Tamura and Fennec, but yeah, I'm dying to see like his story continue, because it was actually interesting and compelling.
Yeah, it was. I checked that first Luke, Mando, whatever was, I think 21 minutes, and then coming back for the end was another 2 minutes, so almost 25 minutes of half the episode was spent away from Tatooine. And then the other half on Tatooine didn't have anything to do with Boba. I said a 5-second kind of head nod. So yeah, I understand all the reason behind. Come on, it's his show, and then Twitter has 20 things. It's a book. It's a book in a chapter, Mando story, and then 20 Twitter threads on why it connects with something happened 30 years ago, and I can't read it because I don't like threads. If I need to read 20 tweets and why something makes sense, it didn't make sense. All right, so let's get into it. Like we all been saying, my guy, there he is. Cobb Vanth came back. I was so happy at 5 a.m. He's staring down pikes, throwing spice. He's about to he could retire with all that spice. Oti, I've been saying it for 5 weeks now. Cobb Vanth is the only one that makes sense. Wasn't here last week. He's back.
Yeah.
You saw Cobb Vanth. How happy were you?
Oh, I was very happy. Very, very. I love that scene. And the whole, like, think it over. And I even love that little moment when he throws away the spice, because that comes back later to tell you that he's not corruptible. Like, he's set in his ways, and no amount of spice or money is going to make him change. So, great reintroduction to that character.
This is one, and you have it back there, Arezou, the Aftermath trilogy. Chuck Wendig will give you props, even if Lucasfilm didn't do it. Cobb Vanth created by there he is. I haven't read them.
I actually have them over there. So double nod.
I don't have them. Sorry, it's one of the first few books.
I recommend them. They're good. They bridge that OT sequel bridge very nicely.
I just heard that the first one wasn't good, but the second and third one are, and they're like 500 pages. Sorry?
The first one is slow.
I don't mind that. But they're long.
Thing is,
that's the problem. But it sets up the crew so that you care by books 2 and 3.
I think you're gonna agree with me. It's an odd series to be like the first story after Return of the Jedi, and I think that got some backlash to it. But time has passed, and when you think of the story, it's very good. It's a very good series.
If you take them in isolation, it's a little odd, but as part of like all of this canon, it fits in very neatly.
All right, I might. There's just so many books coming out, but I might. But Cobb Vanth, I hated the idea of someone else having Boba Fett armor. When the Aftermath series came out and I heard people talking about this interlude and this character, the Marshal of Freetown that has Boba Fett's armor, we don't know if it's really Boba Fett or not, this Cobb Vanth guy, I mean, I was livid. I'm not going to buy this because, and then Cobb Vanth is going to be Mando Season 2. No, please. First episode comes, Mandalorian, the sheriff or whatever, the marshal, and the camera pans, and it's the armor. There's this lanky guy. I'm like, God damn it. Here's this Cobb Vanth guy, and now he's one of my favorite characters in all of the Mandoverse. I love what Timothy Olyphant has done with him. I love the whole look. I wish I had gray hair to do this. I love everything about Cobb Vanth. That's why I've been clamoring for him. And I would watch 100% a series based on an actual Western or cop show just on Tatooine with him. He can carry a whole series by himself. His demeanor is, can you go tell everyone to go inside for a spell? All his mannerisms and the way he acts in this show, I love it. So I love seeing Cobb Vanth again. Anyway, so yeah, the Pikes come, think it over, choose everyone. Yeah, we're back on Tatooine. Psych. We're going now to follow Dean. How does Dean know where Grogu is? How can he still follow him?
He chased Luke down the elevator on the ship. And he's like, can I just get your number and your address in case I need to check on him?
Yeah.
I kind of have the feeling like the minute that elevator closed, that opened it up again, and he's like, oh, dude, here's my phone, just in case you need me.
In case I have questions.
I'm taking your kid, man. I'm taking your kid. So
what's your contact information?
What are his allergies?
He didn't ask his name. He just handed Grogu over.
Yeah, and then after he left, he's asking Bo-Katan, who was that guy? Skywalker? Let me write this down.
They didn't even know till Boba showed up, came back. And then they're like, this blonde Jedi with green lightsaber, and Boba's like, hang on. Luke Skywalker was here?
Yeah. That. All right, but then we go to another great scene, and we see, first, we got like 5 of this inner thigh shot I know a lot of people love. We see, look at him on Space Facebook. Yes, Norhal, maybe they do have Space Facebook on Instagram. Luke just posting pictures of Grogu on Instagram. Look at my cute. Anyway, we got to see the building of the new Jedi Temple or Jedi Academy. We saw the ant droids building this, which looked great. Mando seeing hello friend to little R2. And then I have it, and then he meets Ahsoka, which was extremely surprised to see Ahsoka here, because I kind of knew that Cobb Vanth was gonna come, Grogu and all that, and then seeing Ahsoka there. Were you guys surprised to see Ahsoka, and even surprised that we kind of got this scene of Mando going visiting Grogu? Oti, let's start with you, because you were kind of, I don't think we're gonna see this.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, and when I saw Ahsoka, my jaw dropped, and as I was putting it back on, I realized, wait, she knows Luke, so it fell back again. So, yeah, I was shocked. I was surprised. It was a lot longer than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, so we're gonna be cutting from Tatooine to this place back and forth throughout the whole episode. That was not the case, but yeah, as I was watching, I was like pleasantly surprised, I must say.
Yeah, I'm a friend of the family, and that cannot just bring Anakin all to it, and that's where oh no, poor Anakin. But yeah, Arezou, seeing Ahsoka there, seeing the building of the temple, knowing what's gonna happen to it in The Last Jedi. How are you feeling?
That's a whole other series of feelings. Let me start with Ahsoka. I wasn't super surprised because I knew, like they were saying, Dave Filoni co-wrote this. I'm like, he's probably going to bring Ahsoka back. because it's Dave Filoni. So she showed up. I'm like, yes, that absolutely tracks. I wasn't like positive we were going to see her, but I was reasonably confident. But the building of the temple, I think, is a very interesting connection from a story point of view, because it does put us in that Last Jedi era mind space. And then with that already in the back of our head, seeing the way Luke gets with Grogu, and he's like, foregoing attachment, and this is the Jedi way. And we're saying, well, what are you talking about? Like, your attachment to Vader is the reason you saved Vader. Like, this isn't a bad thing. You're just parroting this Jedi dogma you don't super believe, which seemed weird until you realize that this is probably what he did at his school. This is probably why Ben Solo felt compelled to like listen to the voices in his head, because they were telling him something he wanted to hear, as opposed to Luke, who's telling him something he thinks he should be saying. So I'm like, okay, this is all, both visually and from a story perspective, this is all tying together very nicely with like Luke's character arc and bridging it into the sequels. Again, was this the best show for it? Maybe not, but from that larger story view, I actually quite liked all the back and forth connections.
Yeah, it's and seeing Ahsoka. No, I thought Oti was gonna say it's hard sometimes.
I have something to say, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. You go. You guys are the guests. I'll stand.
Me down. You're wrong.
Yeah, no, because I saw this chatter on Twitter of people being shocked on Luke being so strict with the dogma, and I'm like, this is literally gonna blow up in his face in like 25 years.
Yeah,
and like, I don't know where the perception that Luke is perfect came from, because ever since the sequel started, it's been like this backlash that isn't Luke. Luke constantly fails. Like, that's his thing. He fails and he makes up for it. That's what, for me, makes him such a great character, because he fails and he stands up again. Always stand up. That's what he tells Grogu. And that's his thing. So, I found it very much in line, him learning from Yoda and Obi-Wan, people who were very strict with the dogma, to also be in that line.
And that's why his fall in the sequels hits so hard, because that's the one time he messed up, fell down, and couldn't stand back up. He couldn't fix the mistake he made. And that's why he just went, well, and then went off to October. He's going to go hang out with some fish nuns. Bye, guys.
Yeah, and we still don't know where this Grogu storyline is going to go. We kind of assume that he's going to go back with Mando, and we'll talk that at the end. But he's got a bunch of other students coming, and what's going to happen that leads then to the fall of Ben Solo. And to me, again, it's in line. He got a couple of minutes in Jedi training with Obi-Wan and with Yoda. And then, but that doesn't make you, Jedi Master, Luke Skywalker, now go start your school and your academy. Okay, how do I do this? And also, I read your review of the episode on geekywaffle.com. You should go check it. And it's something that before I read it, I'm in the same place as you were. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're going to be a good teacher. You might know how to do this. Now go teach it to someone, to have the patience to do it. Every person learns differently. Not everyone's going to be able to do it. So, of course, it's going to make mistakes. And this is one of them that eventually is going to lead to The Last Jedi. So it does connect. Is he going to be fading for 30 years or how? Not 30, because Ben Solo starts having those issues pretty early on. But yeah, it kind of tracks.
Ben Solo's alive at this point. He must be like
5 years old.
5? Okay.
Old. Yeah. So he's about 3-4 years away from going to the academy.
So real quick, Rachel, she sees our point, but she had a hard time seeing all of that happen. So
yeah, because we know, especially reading the High Republic, we kind of, what the hell are you doing? Didn't you just? I'm not gonna spoil a comic book and a meeting that Luke had, but
that's why I'm so interesting to see what happens after 9, because we hope Rey continues some version of the Order, but I really hope she doesn't make the same mistakes. We see like a new, reborn Jedi Order. So
I wish she doesn't. I hope she doesn't start a new school. It's like, why?
Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she doesn't.
Yeah, just do your thing. You got your cool saber. You can do whatever you want. Find a way to get your man back.
She's so burdened with the weight of everybody else's expectations. Even still, like if she starts a school, it's just gonna.
Yeah, I don't think
she's not gonna have a good time.
Yeah. But anyway, so Luke training Grogu. Yeah, we got the scene with the frogs. I love that Luke didn't have a second patient to walk with Grogu. He just, come on, dude, just move it along. Just move. I love that because I've been there. Just hurry up because we got to get there.
Pick the baby up instead of letting them walk.
I also loved how Grogu being distracted with everything around him. Like, he's going through what Yoda went through training him. Like, and it's all like hitting him back in the ass.
Yeah. And then he took him up the trees. He went all Bilbo Baggins, looking at the top of the forest. Took me right to the Hobbit. I'm like, I've seen this before. Where are the little butterflies? But if you have butterflies in Star Wars, it has another meaning. So, but then we have Ahsoka and Din Djarin talking about, you can't go see him. Are you doing this for him or for yourself? It's gonna be harder for him. And I understand people wanted to see them together, but it brought me back to being a parent, taking my kids to kindergarten for the first time, and the teacher saying, you got to get out. If they're fine right now. If they see you, they're gonna just go. You gotta break that because they need the space. But I wanna be there. And me and my wife remember when we left our daughter the first time and we were crying in the parking lot. So I understand both Dean's point and Ahsoka, like, dude, you can't be here right now. Just break my heart as a parent. But then Luke goes, oh, you remember little Yoda, whatever. Do you remember your home? You want to remember? And I'm like, oh, we're going to see the planet. No, it's freaking Order 66 again. Let's revisit this. And it looked awesome as all Order 66 look. First time in 20 years that we see live action clone troopers. I don't know if these are CGI or real people. They look awesome. But poor Grogu is revisiting this trauma. We still don't know who picked him up, who saved him, or who took him. Arezou, Order 66 again. I know some people are saying, did Grogu give consent to this? What the hell is going on? I'm crying.
I feel like he and Luke have been adequately communicating, so I feel like he probably okayed it. But it probably an okay, I guess I need to remember whatever. And now it's just like, whoa. Yeah. But Order 66, and it's not even May the 4th. Like, they're breaking with tradition.
Just getting ready for Kenobi and seeing it again.
Yeah, inevitably on May the 4th, we're gonna have to relive Order 66 in some way or another. But I don't know. Like, I like that we didn't go into who saved Grogu from the temple yet, because that's a much bigger story than we could address in less than an hour. But I don't know. I think we all kind of suspected he was at the temple when it happened. So to see that confirmed did not make it any easier. It was very sad.
Very sad. And again, because I was expecting to see this lush planet with all these little Yoda walking around. No, it's freaking clone troopers mowing down Jedi. I love when they pull back and it's Grogu looking at it. You can still see the little crumbs from his jacket or whatever as he's looking his POV. So sad. And then the troopers, there he is. Oti, Order 66. Like Rachel said, you need therapy bills that Filoni needs to pay.
Yeah, it sucked. The clone troopers look very good though.
Yeah,
I love I think it was practical, but at this point I don't even know anymore. But it looked good, so yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people are saying that it's practical, but I don't know. There's like 10 troopers. You can see only the first 4, but there's more back there. And I don't know, for a 10-second scene, I'm sure this flashback will come back, maybe Mando Season 3, but I think it's too much to build all this kind of armor just for that. I don't know. It feels
digital to me. Like, they have all the digital assets from Revenge of the Sith anyway.
Yeah. So I love them in the prequel trilogy. I know a lot of people say there wasn't one single armor built. I don't care. They look great then. They look great now. Yeah. What's Nor saying? Just tell us it was an injured Mace Windu who saved him. I mean, Sam Jackson is already filming Secret Invasion. He can join for a few scenes. Yes, and again, I'll be the grumpy one. I don't want Mace Windu to come back. Leave him dead. He fell out a window. Yeah, he's a Jedi. Splat. Sorry, you're dead.
I hate 2 Jedi. I hate many Jedi, but I hate 2 Jedi. Luminara and Mace Windu. I think they're the embodification of everything wrong with the Order, and I don't want to see Mace Windu back. I'll be happy when he eventually comes back and he has one arm, but I don't want to see him back.
What if it was Quinlan Vos? And I only say this because I want Quinlan Vos. Cool. And then eventually Asajj Ventress, and he's going to bring her back from the dead, and they're going to fall in love. And you know I have a perfect mind. But
start thinking.
I like this.
Quinlan Vos, and there has to be a hashtag name for them already.
Oh, there definitely is, because Dark Disciple.
Asajj is.
I haven't read freaking Dark Disciple.
Dark Disciple is their love story.
You haven't read Dark Disciple?
No, I suck. Okay, sorry.
Dude, it connects so well to
the Clone Wars.
And the Dooku one, Jedi
which I love, and I fell in love with Asajj Ventress there, and I fell in love with Dooku.
Man.
Half of it is Asajj's point of view, and it goes in so much into like the Dooku stuff. Like if nothing else, read Dark Disciple.
All right, stop guilting me. I'll get it. I probably won't. No, Quinlan Vos. There you go.
Just retcon the ending. The rest of it's fine.
All right. I don't even know where I was going. Yeah, someone saved Grogu. Oh. I mean, not the love story, just the part where Asajj died. This was Noir saying, yeah, we'll get retcon at some point. Or not, it's from a different point of view. Yeah, I don't want Mace Windu to come back. I don't hate him. I think he was justified in what he did in season 7. We don't have time to it. So don't jump on. We don't have time for it. But then the big thing, Luke and Ahsoka saw each other for the first time, at least on our end, and this shot here just blew my Star Wars loving mind. So much like your father, again, bringing Anakin into it. He gives her a little look, a half smile. We already talked about it, but when you guys saw this for the first time, Luke and Ahsoka, Oti, you kind of mentioned it, and just kind of talk a little bit more about it. Seeing this connection now, tear roll down your face. How much?
I was very emotional. Yeah.
So Arezou, Ahsoka, Luke Skywalker together again, or for the first time, I should say.
I enjoyed it for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like as a piece of the larger story, because this is something I'd been wondering about. I'm glad it wasn't their first meeting. I did think it was a little weird that Ahsoka was essentially agreeing with Luke's point on attachment. I'm like, you walked away from the Jedi Order. Like, you know what they're like. So I don't know if she's just trying to push Din away so that Grogu can make his own decision, because she recognizes that that's what's important. And she knows that Din going to see him will like make his mind up for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I choose to believe, because otherwise it doesn't track for me. But it's not a total denial. But no, I genuinely liked seeing them together. And as much as I said I don't like when Luke Skywalker pops up and stuff, I wouldn't mind if he popped up in Ahsoka.
So the attachment thing, I see it because I'm also like, Luke, come on. But I also saw it as Luke being like, this life is hard. This life requires your 100% of your attention. And yeah, there's this whole you can't see your dad thing, which is wrong. But I think Ahsoka understands like it's kind of a lonely life because she's been out there doing good everywhere. And that's why I kind of gave her a pass for being like, yeah, attachments, you got to stay away from them. I don't know if you guys saw it that way also. Or
it's one of those things that we talked about before, Oti, that as I'm watching the show, none of this makes sense in terms of connecting all this. I'm just, what am I seeing? And then 2 hours later, it's like, okay, let me sit back. And yeah, why is Ahsoka talking about attachments and all this stuff? But again, we don't know what her life after Clone Wars, when we see her back in Rebels and see her here, everything that kind of happened, that might have changed her mind. But I don't know. Maybe something happened. All right, so we talked already enough about it. And we'll come back and talk about the ending of the big choice at the end. But then we have Din Djarin going back to Tatooine to talk with Boba Fett. I love the shot of the Jawas with the Krayt Dragon's head as a trophy. We got the whole gang is back together. We have Din and Mando meeting. Din and Cobb Vanth meeting. And we already talked about Boba Fett should have gone with Mando to meet Cobb Vanth. But I love when they met again. Cobb Vanth quickly, where's the little guy? The second person, hey Mando, how you doing? Where's Grogu? Same as Pelimoto, and they're like, oh, come on, we both lost something we're fond of. I really love that that Cobb Vanth is a prequel stan. As soon as he saw the Starfighter, is that a Naboo Starfighter? He went straight to it. He didn't care. Oh, you're back. Is that a Naboo? Yeah, whatever. It's like, man, I want one of those. But yeah.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
Then they have this conversation. Were you thinking that he was going to be, let's go ahead and do this because of what happened at the beginning with the Pikes? I was a bit surprised that he said this isn't our fight because he just saw the Pikes already in their territory. So a bit surprised it took him a little bit to come around. Oti, what were your thoughts on this kind of conversation between them and trying to get Cobb Vanth to help out?
He's playing hard to get. Like that's all. He's playing hard to get. I was also surprised because he was like, it's not our problem. I'm like, you just killed like 3 Pikes, man. Like, what do you mean it's not your problem? So, but yeah, I love the meeting again. Phantom Menace is probably the only movie in Freetown, so that's why he was like, oh, Naboo Starfighter.
I love they brought that back. That Mos Pelgo, we call it Freetown now. So I did love that part.
Yeah.
So also any more on that, or if you want, we can go straight. You can talk about seeing this guy coming back and the whole thing with Cobb Vanth. I mean, there is Cad Bane coming. So your thoughts on that last kind of Tatooine part?
Just the bit with Cobb Vanth, I think he was just in denial. Like, I dealt with that. I don't have to. And then points out that like that probably wasn't the only time it's going to happen, and that's when he starts to come around. So
yeah. And I did love going back into that they were flirting when he goes, oh, that's the thing with you, Mando. That smile always lets you get away with stuff or something like that. Yeah, boyfriends. You're right, Rachel. But then then we have Cad Bane coming in with the big Western, comes back. As soon as you saw the silhouette, we all knew it was Cad Bane finally coming. Looked great in live action. I thought my guy Cobb Vanth was gonna get it. I thought he was gonna die because you're not gonna bring, like Nor Holly said, Cad MF Bane. You're not bringing Cad Bane and he's gonna get killed by Cobb Vanth. So I'm like, crap. Here goes Cobb Vanth is dead. But then Sheriff Mag doesn't shut his mouth, walks out of the tavern. I'm like, okay, we're cool. He's the one that's getting shot and got like 5 shots. And Cobb Vanth, one on the shoulder. As soon as he stepped out, I'm like, okay, he's dead. But Arezou, your first thoughts when you saw Cad Bane and then how all that played out. Everyone's freaked out now how scary he looks and acts.
He's terrifying. I was, watching it at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So it's dark outside. There's barely any light in the room. And the camera pans up to his face. And I'm like, sitting back on the couch, like just to get myself a little further away. He is very scary in live action, which I don't think I realized how scary Aduros would look in real life. But I was excited he was here. I'm like, this makes perfect sense. He doesn't like Boba. He doesn't like Fennec because of the Bad Batch. He can't pick a fight with anybody his own age. So I don't know. I was very excited that Cad Bane was here, and I'm not even that big like a Cad Bane stan, but
I like Cad Bane in Clone Wars. Obviously, I was big, huge kind of stan of him, but I do like the look. It's one of those great looks out there. It's funny things that I usually don't like, and now I'm amazing. He didn't have his toothpick, which was kind of odd. Because Crosshair has one. I'm like, why do all the shooters need toothpick? I didn't like it on Crosshair.
Because it's cool.
Because they can't have a cigarette. That's why.
Yeah, TV, no cigarettes. But it was kind of amazing that he didn't have the toothpick there just to throw it out. Maybe he will do it to Boba Fett, just flick it to his helmet. But I love how
Boba Fennec's going to kill him.
Oh, dude, what the hell?
I love, and I didn't check, but I'm guessing it's the same voice actor that voiced him in the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. It sounded great, looked great. Stay out of this. We'll match for their pain. I love Cobb Vanth. Is that a friendly advice or a threat? I love everything that comes out of his mouth. Were you afraid that this might be the end of Cobb Vanth, Oti, when Cad Bane kind of was hiding behind a banta for 20 minutes waiting for Din Djarin to leave and then walk from 2 miles away.
The minute I saw that silhouette, I was like, he's a goner.
Yeah.
I just want to say that moment, Filoni has grown so much as a director. That moment was perfect because many things like you don't need to know Cad Bane and Clone Wars and everything that came before to understand what he is. He represents Boba Fett's past. He just straight up says like, you know, that Boba Fett, he did jobs for the Empire. He's not a good guy. And that's what he's bringing to the show. Like Boba Fett's trying to change. And here's this guy who's like, you're not going to change. You're the same. He's like, if Boba Fett never, ever had this change of heart, if he stayed like, because he won't, Cad Bane is a character that will never change. He's evil, and I love that he's like dissing Boba Fett for working for the Empire, and like, you worked for the Sith, man. Like, what the hell? So it was very well handled because you didn't need to know everything that we as Clone Wars fans know to understand what he is and what he represents.
Yeah, I mean everything with Cad Bane was great. Terrifying, as you guys had said. I'm just going to highlight this comment real quick because I was going to ask this anyway from Nor, saying also, what if Cad Bane was the one who killed the Tusken tribe? Is this something you guys think actually happened, that the Pikes paid Cad Bane to do it and just make it look like it was the Canton Strider so Boba Fett could just get them out of the way and now they don't have to pay tribute to anyone?
If you want to go ahead, Arezou.
No, you go. You go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I think so because that comment Fennec said in that episode with the whole like she was skeptical of the Tuskens dying at the hands of that gang.
Yeah,
that wasn't there on an accident. That was purposely put in there. So now he's brought back, and that kind of makes more sense. And
yeah,
I can't wait for Boba to find out because that's gonna be like, okay, this is very personal now because they already have beef.
Are we going to see I mean, it's going to happen. Maybe not the same way as the Clone Wars kind of unfinished arc, but we're going to see the showdown, right? The standoff between Boba and Cad.
I was watching Star Wars Explained channel, and he was talking about how in the Bad Batch, we kind of see a dent in Cad Bane's. He has like this metal thing over here. And he was like theorizing like, maybe that moment did happen and Cad Bane didn't die. So this is like unfinished business for both of them.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered Cad Bane's involvement in this until people started pointing it out. That maybe, you know, like that line that Fennec says wasn't, you know, that it wasn't just a throwaway line and that it does mean something, which usually I'm like, but what does it mean? And this I was just like, just went right over my head. But I love that idea.
Yeah, I thought at that point, the Pikes just did it and blamed someone else. But now it makes sense that Cad Bane is kind of the one that got paid to do it. And it's funny because I was on the kick, same as Cobb Vanth makes sense, that Cad Bane was going to be in this show at some point early on. By Tuesday, late Tuesday, I'm like, it's too late for Cad Bane to come in. He doesn't fit. Look how well he fits now. And then we have a question at the end to kind of who's kind of the big bad, or if there's anyone else out there. So let's go to the endings. There's two endings after Cad Bane tells the people of Freetown, stay out of it. No one else is getting hurt. Then we go to our friend Madame Garza, kind of Emporium, and it blows up. The Pikes go there. They leave their Cantono. It blows up. Big explosion. We don't see any bodies. Is she alive? We don't know, but that was a pretty bad explosion. And then, of course, the ending there with, I'm just going to mention them both because I have both kind of here, with Grogu's choice. But this was another kind of big sticking point for people out there about maybe decisions in the episode that didn't work out. Arezou, another female character, female lead in the show, now kind of unceremoniously killed for no reason to kind of move Boba Fett's story. Again, like I said, these are things that it blew up, sorry. And then I see the people out there kind of talking. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I sincerely hope she's not dead. Don't know how you're going to walk away from that explosion, but
it's a big one.
Look, Darth Maul was cut in half and lived
choppy.
happily, if spitefully, for another 30 years, so he was fine. But yeah, I am uneasy with her being set up as kind of this person who has risen above the sort of inhospitable environment that is Mos Espa and Tatooine, and made a thriving business for herself. And she sort of seemed like she was involved in a like, don't get me involved, like peacekeeping kind of way.
Yeah.
And then boom. So if she was like fridged for the story, I will be extremely disappointed, which is again me tempering my expectations. Because I do think that's what's going to wind up happening, but I would love to be wrong. I want her to come back like dabbing some burn cream on her face, and she's like, "Well, that was uncomfortable." Yeah. Anyway, but it's unlikely. But
yeah. So I see what you're saying, and Alberto knows I loved her ever since the beginning, and it kind of sucks that we learned that she wasn't gonna betray Boba with her death. Because that was the moment you're like, oh, so she wasn't working with the Pikes. Okay.
Yeah.
But for me, being like I've said it a billion times, I'm a huge gangster movie fan. That had a very gangster movie feel to it. Like, let's just blow up this place he loves and kill this, as you said, like this keeper of the peace. And that was just basically the declaration of war. So yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, again, watching it as just a movie, a TV fan or Star Wars fan, is like, oh crap! Now things the shit just hit the fan. Here we go. But then, what does this mean to the same tropes that we keep seeing, and how female characters are treated? And then apart from Fennec Shand, is the other kind of main female character there. Okay, bye, thank you. I'm gonna say she has almost as much screen time as Fennec Shand almost.
Yeah.
And then the big ending, unless there's anything else about this topic, it's with the choice. Hey, chainmail, it's gonna help you. Qui-Gon Jinn, this could help you also. I was surprised it was chainmail. I thought it was gonna be a necklace with a metal ball. Here's Master Yoda's lightsaber, but you can only pick one. Pick the chainmail. Go with Mandalorian. You won't be a Jedi. Stay with me. You're gonna live a long life. You might not see him again. Pick. And people lost their head about how you're gonna do this. Oti, starting with you. This ending.
I'll go with my theory. I hated the ending, by the way. Unless like Grogu comes in and saves the day, and he's like a big part of the finale, which I don't know how I would feel about it. I did not like the ending because this is the preseason finale. Like, we should set something up, and I didn't like it. But it got me thinking, like, the last Mandalorian we know that was torn between the Jedi way and the Mandalorian way was called Tar Vizsla, and he had a very cool lightsaber, which is popping on in the show, and it just so happens to be under the command of Grogu's dad. So I kind of think he's gonna come back and end up wielding the dark saber at some point.
That dark saber hilt is like 3/4 the size of Grogu.
Size matters
he's
not.
Drag it behind him.
Size matters not.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a bunch of theories in the chat that I'm waiting for the very end to put up.
All right. So before we jump into it, real quick, what is he picking, Oti? And are we going to see the choice next week, or is this season 3? I'm saying hopefully, please, Mando season 3, not next week.
No, Luke is gonna pop up in the X-wing. He's gonna throw Grogu. He's gonna catch him. It's gonna be a whole thing. I think he's picking the chainmail. Like, I don't see any other way.
I agree. Okay. You can sell more Funko Pops with the chainmail.
It'll be a lot. So, Arezou, your thoughts on the finale and the choice that Grogu was given?
I'm on board with you, Alberto. I wish this was going to happen in Mando season 3. I don't think it will, because just by the rules of TV writing, if you've set it up this season, you really need to wrap it up in this show. I think he's probably going to pick the chainmail. I think it's a little weird Luke is making him pick. We do see that there are other Jedi Padawans who can keep a piece of their heritage with them, while they train to be Jedi. So I do think it's funny that Luke's like, no, it's either or. And Din's intention was clearly like, wear this chainmail while you're being a Jedi.
Be protected.
But, yeah, like that was clearly Din's intent. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm guessing chainmail because I can't see them getting rid of Grogu permanently unless he picks a lightsaber and then eventually decides to bounce and come back to Din anyway.
So that's, even though I'm like 95% is the chainmail, because I don't see him becoming, not that I don't see him becoming a Jedi, it's like it's gonna take a long time. And I think even though I don't want Grogu to be part of Mando season 3, the way I think that season is gonna go, story-wise, it makes sense that they're reunited, and it's kind of with him picking the way of the Mandalorian or whatever. But that's what everyone is thinking. It'd be extremely exciting and different if he goes with the lightsaber, and then, I don't know, halfway through it, he's like, oh, same as Luke, oh, I sense the death of my friends, I gotta bounce and go help them, and he kind of does the Leia thing. Oh, the end of my Jedi training was because I saw my son dying or something like that, and kind of make that choice afterwards. Please don't do this next week. Leave this for Mando season 3, because it will, everything that we just talked about with Luke taking over, this would 100% take over the show and the whole series, and I don't want it. So, Oti, last thoughts on this before you give me some of those theories.
Yeah, no. So I think him not picking the lightsaber is actually the more interesting choice, because here we have like this kid destined to be a great Jedi, as Luke like tells him, and we know he's very powerful. And him being like, you know what? But I don't want this. This is not what I want. I want something else. So for me, that's the most interesting choice for future storytelling. If we ever get to see Grogu like be 600 years old and see what he becomes.
All right. So what are some of those theories that you're seeing in the chat?
Okay, here we go. So Rachel, she has an ending written in her head where Fennec just shoots Cad Bane as they have a standoff. Let's see.
She's like, you guys talk too much. I gotta finish this.
Yeah, so Norhal says, what if they had a shootout and Cad and Boba and Fennec is the one who... Wait.
So yeah, Cad and Boba having a shootout, and then Fennec just shoots Cad Bane.
Oh, okay. So, okay. So Norhal... Okay, so they defeat the Pikes.
Mm-hmm.
Then she has an end credit scene where Cad Bane arrives to his ships, informs the losing Tatooine. Oh, okay, and that's what I'm hoping for.
All right, so let's take this away. Take this away. We got a question in the Rebel Thoughts. We'll get to that one.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, give me one more before we kind of wrap up. We got a couple of questions for you guys before we go to the questions.
I have the perfect last comment.
Okay, go ahead. Rachel Sadin, Boba needs to write his Rancor. Talking about setting things up. Come on.
You got to pay that off.
Yeah.
We're gonna see that, right? Like we're gonna get that shot
this season, then next season, and
he's
I'm manifesting a second season.
He's gonna be on the Rancor, and Dan's gonna be like with the jetpack and the dark side. That's gonna happen, right?
That's on season 3 when Din Djarin is in the waterfalls of Mandalore riding the mythosaur. Here comes Boba and his Rancor, and they have a big...
Then Luke shows up in the X-Wing. Han shows up in the Millennium Falcon. We have this whole big fight.
Everything.
Where's
even
Fennec?
Rey's there. Yeah, and Fennec's everything.
Where's
Fennec is riding the Falcon.
No, she.
Fennec took the Millennium Falcon. Fine.
It's been hopping around from owner to owner.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so a few things. Let me see. Also, are we going to see, if we go back to Luke's Academy, there were a bunch of rumors of DH Han Solo appearing at some point. Are we seeing Han Solo with baby Ben?
I'm going to sound like the biggest hypocrite in the world. I only want a DH Han Solo if it comes with a baby Ben.
You said around 5 years old?
He's about 5 years old.
Oh, man.
That's the only way I want it. Because then it becomes about that next generation, that next story, and it's not about look how cool Han Solo is.
Yeah.
Look at the setup for the next trilogy. So if we get a baby Ben, I would like it.
Yeah, that same. I don't want a DH Han Solo to meet Boba Fett on Tatooine. No, but if he goes there, yeah. But then if you
both dads now, they're mature.
They're busy. Yeah. If you bring Han Solo, are they gonna bring Leia? And then now that becomes even more of a weird talk about Ben Solo, a little 5-year-old Ben Solo with interacting with Grogu. Talk about Funko Pops.
Okay, first of all, yes, I would buy that in a heartbeat. But imagine if they had gone the recasting route, and you've got Alden Ehrenreich, and then you get Billy Lord to play Leia, and their dynamic as Han and Leia. Yeah. Like, what would that look like? Give me these things instead of a digital Han Solo talking to a digital Princess Leia. Like, give me these flesh and blood actors.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens, I'll turn off my iPad and just cry for 5 days because I won't be able to handle that. Like, no way.
How cool would that be?
No, it'd be awesome. Like, awesome. But I wouldn't be able to handle that. My heart would be like so full.
Billy Lord. And this little 5-year-old.
Just hanging.
Just hanging out. Holding the dice because he wants to be a pilot like his
But then he sees a lightsaber and says, ooh, maybe I am strong in the Force. So Oti, are we going to see we are going to see a post-credit scene. Is it set in Mando Season 3? Do we get a trailer for Kenobi? Is it maybe something for Boba Fett Season 2? Is this when Kira shows up? What's the post-credit scene?
I have no originality, so in my head, it'll be the same Avengers Age of Ultron and credit scene. We'll have Kira, and she'll be like, fine, I'll do it myself. And it'll end.
Yeah. Also, do you think, what are we getting to after the credits? What's popping up?
I mean, you said Kenobi, and I was like, whoa. But realistically, I agree with Oti. I think it'd probably be Kira. Like that effect.
That'd be huge.
Oh my god! Right,
we'll finish with that in a minute. I only thought of the Kenobi trailer because in No Way Home, Spider-Man, we're talking MCU, they gave us a little MCU post-credit and then the trailer for the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange. So who knows? But Star Wars kind of doesn't work that way. Anyway, so I just wanted to finish before we jump to the question segment. This Mandoverse, this Filoni Favreauverse, a lot of people, and I'll throw my hat into it, are kind of saying, thank you for what you're doing, but let's bring other creative into the Star Wars TV universe. We still have Filoni doing Ahsoka, and I have my reservations about it. Do you think it's time for them? Okay, it's been three seasons now, plus Ahsoka is another 3 shows. Let's kind of end it and have other people. I know we have Deborah Chow, thank you, doing Kenobi. Someone else for Acolyte, Leslie Highland for Kenobi. For Acolyte. So we have more people coming. Is it a time for these 2 guys to thank you for what you did, kind of setting this up and stand back?
It's not that I don't agree with that idea, but I don't see them leaving because they clearly know where they want to take this. Even though if I don't agree with how the choices and what to present when, and they clearly know they have a path drawn to where they want to go. So I really see them like completing at least this first part of this big story they're telling.
Yeah, I agree. I would love for new voices. I think they need a writer's room. I don't think it's working to have one guy write a whole season because it's not that it's bad, but you are limited to what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni think is cool. And it's nice that they know the lore and like they do clearly have this respect for how it all interconnects, but the scope is so limited to what they know, to what they've experienced, and to what they enjoy that I would love if they like stay on to oversee it, but other storytellers are allowed to sort of have their voices heard and pitch in as well.
I just want to add something very small to what everyone thinks Kathleen Kennedy jobs is. Like everyone thinks she's telling the story. This is her job. it's her job to go like, you know what, John, this isn't really working out. We should hire someone, or maybe you should take a more producer and oversight role. She's the one that has to make like these calls, or maybe he goes like, you know what, Kathy, we should bring someone else in. But this is what her job is. So yeah, just throwing it out there.
She's not, she's not in the room.
Yeah.
Masterminding it the way some people think she is, but like she's one of those that has to make the call that like, yes, we need to broaden.
Her job is
telling the story.
Yeah, her job is making this whole thing work, basically.
Yeah.
And I echo what you guys are saying, that I wish we kind of started taking a step back from them. They did a great job kind of setting this up, but we need other voices, because a lot of the, again, not complaints, but some of the issues people are having kind of has to do with the way they're storytelling, kind of the way they do storytelling. And like I'm a little bit afraid for the Ahsoka series. I'm an Ahsoka fan. I'm not a stan. She was okay in the Clone Wars for me. I really fell in love with her in Rebels, and she's been okay in Mandalorian, but I'm not, she's the greatest character ever. And what kind of pulls me back for this upcoming show is that Dave Filoni is the only one that's allowed to touch Ahsoka. I know E.K. Johnston wrote the novel. I haven't read it, even though I have it on Kindle, based on the Siege of Mandalore. And then people say, not retcon, but some things got changed for the finale. So he's the only one that writes for her and does everything, has this great plan. And I think that kind of I don't know, I'm afraid of how much he's invested in this character to tell a good story. Look at the High Republic and how every author plays with every character that the others have created, how much they bring life real quick. Comac is one of my favorite characters. Claudia Gray brought him to life in Into the Dark. What Daniel Jose did with him in Midnight Horizon, I love, because it's kids are screaming over there. No, I'm not giving you spoilers. Just saying that I love what he did with him, because it's another person kind of bringing their style to that character. And with Filoni being the only one, if he's the sole writer for Ahsoka, I'm kind of afraid of what that's going to look like.
I agree. I think Dave Filoni is a little bit precious when it comes to Ahsoka, and just doesn't let anybody touch the character. But then I think that's also to his own detriment, because like Ahsoka in this episode didn't super sound like Ahsoka. Like she's very detached in a way that Ahsoka's heart doesn't really allow for that kind of detachment. This is not the kind of person she is. And I think it's just so worried about anything touching her that it's now not seeming like her anymore.
Yeah.
So I worry what this means for the show as a whole.
I'm still optimistic because again, he loves that character, but I bet it's gonna get very weird with him just being the one handling it. It's gonna be intense.
All right, we'll see. All right, and with that, we kind of wrap up our talk on From the Desert Comes a Stranger, which when I saw that, talking about Cobb Vanth. No, it's Cad Bane, which I still love.
It's Cobb Vanth, it's Cad Bane,
it's everyone
except
Mando
coming from the desert to see Grogu. It's everybody. Everybody's a stranger in the desert.
The Jawas with the head.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump to one of our favorite sections, and that's when I hear from you guys on our segment, Rebel Thoughts. It's been a while since we had. Here we go, Rebel Thoughts.
You're rebels, are you? All the way.
Rebels. And our three questions actually come from our friend Roberto Venegas, and he writes, do you think with one episode left, will the character of Boba Fett have a meaningful conclusion to the season, or is it going to be more of a team-up? Will we finally see the big bad of the show and who it is? And will we get the answers to who is the best bounty hunter, Cad Bane or Boba Fett? So 3 questions. We kind of touched a little bit about them. Are they going to be able to kind of wrap up Boba Fett's story, or this is going to be just a big Avengers-style team-up with everyone, Pikes versus everyone that Boba Fett has kind of brought in to help?
These also tie into a question Rachel had, that if we thought this was going to end definitively, or would it have a cliffhanger to it? So
I'll say, even though I want it to be just kind of Boba Fett's story, I think he's bringing all these characters. Mando will be there, Chrysanthemum. Please don't bring Luke, don't bring Grogu, just make it more Boba Fett and Fennec Shand to the end. I don't know how it's going to happen, and I hope it's not a cliffhanger, just maybe that post-credit something talking about this second question about who's the big bad out there. What do you think, Cody?
So I think, it's gonna be a team up ending. I even think we're gonna see more bounty hunters, but let's wait and see. Big bad, I'm still dead set that we're gonna see Kira in some way or shape or form. And the best in the West, it's gonna be Boba Fett. I hope so, because if not, he dies, and I don't want him to die.
Unless, like the chat said, maybe Fennec Shand says, I'm not one for standoff. I already beat you once, I'll beat you again, and just shoots him. So also your thoughts on these questions that Roberto posed.
I'm going to go backwards. So best in the West, definitely Boba, because otherwise we don't get a season 2. Real big bad, I'm hoping it's Kira. I think we've been talking a lot about the Pikes, but obviously like they wouldn't just come in for no reason. So I'm hoping they're working with Crimson Dawn, maybe. I don't know. And then I agree. I think it's going to be like an Avengers style team up rather than just about Boba, even though I would have liked it to just be Boba doing his best. But I feel like we're getting everybody.
Do you guys see this being like an all-out war or just concentrated in one specific place?
I would have thought all-out war before we got the 2 Mando episodes. Now I feel like it's going to be concentrated to Mos Espa.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that maybe there's something happening with the biker squad and whoever comes from Freetown to help, and they're kind of on the outskirts fighting the other foot soldiers. But then we have the main characters maybe around Boba's palace or something, or where Garza's had her emporium, maybe around that area. And it's concentrated to about 2 or 3 people. So what I think, and I've said since the beginning, the big bads are going to be Crimson Dawn and Kira. Now I'm thinking with the Pikes hiring Cad Bane, maybe they are the big bad for this season. But then the ending is Kira finds out, okay, the Pikes have been taken care of. The Hutts don't care about Tatooine. The new guy, Boba Fett, is kind of hurt. Now's the time for me and Crimson Dawn to come over and take over the Hutt space. So maybe she's not the one manipulating the Pikes, but now that the Pikes are out of the way, now she thinks that Crimson Dawn can come in and take over the territory. But whatever it is, please give us Kira. Please give us Crimson Dawn. She's back on all the comics. It just makes sense for her to come back and have a big kind of push for season 2. Yeah. That's my take on it. So
I hope so.
All right. So with that, I think we can call it. It's been a great show as always. Thanks for being here. The chat.
It's been great.
Again, same as last week.
It got X-rated at the end, but
no, don't show. Don't. Let me look at it. I'm not. I mean, they'll see it in the replay. People can look at. I can't even. Come on.
Norha got spicy.
You know what? It's gonna be at 2 seconds. It's like, yes, he was born XX.
I didn't want to show it into the show.
It wasn't me. And that's it. Our last episode of Radio Rebellion ever, as Norha has broken the chat.
It's not that spicy.
It's not.
It's a little spicy.
I mean, we saw it. If you watch Eternals,
if you think about it,
it's on Disney Plus. So.
It is on Disney Plus, and I mean, kids are gonna have to learn about it sometimes. School systems, unfortunately, are going down because stop. I'll take your controls away. Anyway, maybe that's the big ending.
Sorry, you're absolutely right.
All right. I don't know Oti, where can people find you? Let's just say bye. Norhal, thank you for being here the whole show. You were sad because you were late last week. You step up today, so thank you. We'll gotta get you back on the show soon. So actually, Oti, let me say to Arezou first, because thank you, because I was on your show last week. Space Waffles had a lot of fun over there. You guys are doing this every 2 weeks. What else, and where can people find you?
So people can find me at Arezou Amin, and that's where you find like Space Waffles as well. And we're doing the Book of Bonnet, like Alberto said. So it's every other week. So our next episode will be next week, and that'll be episodes 6 and 7. But yeah, that's the best place to find me is Twitter, and then thegeekywaffle.com and arezud2.com, and I'm all over the place.
All right, Oti. First, Arthur, again, thanks for being here. Oti, how about you?
Yeah, so you can find me over at at EP Star Wars, whatever it says down here. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, same handle, and I host an bilingual podcast. I never know which language it's gonna be on, so just subscribe and jump on the ride.
Yeah, just show up there. So again, thank you for everyone that was here on the chat, watching live, watching later, listening to the podcast when it comes out. We got one more episode of Book of Boba Fett next week. What's gonna happen? We have no idea. Week after that, we're talking the Fallen Star again with our friend Arezou. Maybe Maggie Lovett might be here. But yeah, and then Nor is gonna be here for our Solo and Rogue One trivia in a couple of weeks with some other great people. Rachel's gonna be there also, so be ready for that. So as always, stay safe, be safe, and may the Force be with you.